USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love, starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso Virtuo Coffee Machines. Ready to enjoy the bold flavors of barista-quality Nespresso iced coffee at home? Simply fill a glass with ice and press the brew button on your Virtuo Pop machine to enjoy rich double espressos roasted to stand up even when chilled. Refreshingly bold iced coffee. Refreshingly easy to make at home. Visit Nespresso.com to shop now.
Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. We are so excited to bring you this show.
Our podcast is all about unraveling all of your favorite mysteries from the Assassin's Creed games. Each episode will be talking about a different topic in the Assassin's Creed universe. From Pieces of Eden, solar flares, and the Isu, to the Hidden Ones, the Order of Ancients, and of course, the Animus, we will seek to uncover it all.
So join us and maybe even take a leap of faith.
Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. My name is Shelby. You also know me as She-Cup, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hey, I'm Austin, or Teacup.
That's right, you are, and we are back with another Assassin versus Templar episode, and I'm excited for this one because this is someone that I think everyone knows.
Yes, we are talking about John Lennon, who is one of the Beatles. Was one of the Beatles. And so I think we just kind of dive in. An English singer, songwriter, musician, and peace activist. He gained global fame as the founder, co-lead vocalist, and rhythm guitarist of the Beatles. And I kind of questioned this, but like he's the lead guitarist of the Beatles, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so too. I was like, George is the rhythm guitarist.
George, and well, they go back and forth. Like sometimes George does solos, sometimes John does solos and other things. Like it's more of like an influx kind of thing. And like in this time, like two guitarists were common, but like, you know, like Led Zeppelin has one guitarist.
Well, Jimmy Page is also like the best guitarist of all time. One of.
That is also true.
I don't really think Lennon and George and John are comparable to Jimmy Page, to be fair.
No.
At least in skill.
But like even Queen had one guitarist.
Yeah, that's fair too.
But yeah, so anyway, Well, fact check the wiki on that. So his parents named him John Winston Lennon after his paternal grandfather, John or Jack Lennon, and Prime Minister Winston Churchill.
Okay, well, I'm already using that in my evidence.
Okay.
For the end.
Okay. All right. Whatever. Here's a quote that he said later about his childhood. This is from John Lennon, adult John Lennon, talking about his childhood. I was the one who all the other boys' parents, including Paul's father, would say, keep away from him. The parents instinctively recognized I was a troublemaker, meaning I did not conform and I would influence their children, which I did. I did my best to disrupt every friend's home, partly out of envy that I didn't have this so-called home. And so like he bounces around house, like his parents aren't really that great, but like he does have a quote unquote home, but like he doesn't have the structured home that the rest of them do. Again, I'm giving brief overview stuff because we're going to talk about like his beliefs and stuff, not really like all the things he does. He writes so many songs, like a lot of the big songs of the Beatles. It is important to note that like officially Paul and John Lennon co-write every song of the Beatles. Like that was their agreement. But we do kind of know like who took the lead on what, like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, like that was John taking the lead on that. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club, like that's John.
Well, yeah, pretty much any song that makes zero sense is John's.
Or Ringo's.
Or Ringo's, yeah.
Yes.
Any song that's about like drugs, that's George's.
Yes.
Any song that you think
the
is like,
songs
oh,
about
this is
love,
sweet, this is about love or justice, yeah, Paul.
Yes. That's an important thing. And like they come into this agreement that they're going to publish everything under their name. And this is kind of what leads to the Beatles breakup. Because John marries a woman named Yoko Ono. And he legally takes her name. So like when he died, he was John Winston Ono Lennon.
Was it Ono Lennon or Lennon Ono?
I can't remember. I'd have to go look at the Wikipedia. But like that is part, like he legally took her name. And he and her are normally the people, when people look at this thing, they blame him and her for the Beatles breakup. Or they say that she is the one who pushed him to want to be able to publish solely and like get credit for the songs that he wanted.
Do we have evidence of that, or is it just kind of word of mouth?
I think it's word of mouth. I think there is some evidence, especially the evidence that they kind of launch a solo career together.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe that is it. But I think that these feelings would have been like, I think that it was an idealistic thing that they did when they were starting out. Like, oh, we're going to be a team. But once power and fame got to them, like John, for lack of a better word, like saw the money that he could be making and other things like that. Some notable songs that like he wrote on his solo career are obviously Imagine is a John Lennon solo career song. Give Peace a Chance. And then there is another one that is, where is it? Oh, yes. Happy Christmas, the War is Over. And this is a point to kind of like get us into where he is. John is about to really step into this activism stance. And like Paul, they all kind of take this kind of activism in there. But John takes it to another level once he launches his solo career. It's almost comical. Like the world almost views like their activism as comical. And like, so Lennon and Ono used their honeymoon to stage a bed-in at the Amsterdam Hilton Hotel. Now, if you don't know what a bed-in is, this is basically kind of like, if you remember, if you learned anything about the civil rights movement in America, we had these sit-ins where people of color would go and sit at whites only restaurants, and like their form of peaceful protest they would not move. They would not get out. They would stay there and take that seat. They wouldn't order anything. They wouldn't do anything and like disrupt the business, but they wouldn't like take anything. A bed-in is basically that, but you stay in a hotel room bed.
So you have privacy and comfort and luxury.
Yes. Happens in the March of '69, basically attracts worldwide media ridicule. During their second bed-in 3 months later at the Queen Elizabeth Hotel in Montreal, Lennon wrote and recorded Give Peace a Chance. Released as a single, the song was quickly interpreted as an anti-war anthem and sung by 250,000 demonstrators against the Vietnam War in Washington, D.C. on the 15th of November. Now, this is important, like, in the context of this, Vietnam is happening, and the Beatles do kind of become, like, and especially John Lennon, become strong symbols of this anti-Vietnam War protest. And, like, that's a point. If you have ever watched the movie Across the Universe, which is a jukebox musical with the Beatles music, like, the Vietnam War is a central element to that story. And, like, you know, this, you say you want a revolution, and the song by the Beatles, like, that's kind of about activism when you see it. Like, there's a lot of, like, movements in here where they're writing about this. They are very much, he takes this stance of anti-war, and, like, this becomes, like, Lennon's personality. He becomes this person that is, like, against the Vietnam War and against war in general. Do you have any thoughts before I move on to a thing that I think also kind of gets him into a point of, like, you are just, like, doing this for attention?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I do think there's part of it that is for attention, like you've said. I think there's another part of it that is earnest. I truly do. And also, to me, it just comes across as privileged. Like, okay, great, you're a millionaire, billionaire, famous, everyone in the world knows who you are, and you probably don't really know what the realities of war are like. You don't know what the reality of everyday life is like. You probably are never going to be drafted, and you're sitting up here in a bed, comfortable, living a luxurious lifestyle as a protest. It just kind of rings hollow for me.
Yes, I definitely hear that, and I see that with John Lennon in a lot of ways. And I'm reminded of, Shelby and I are both big fans of the musical Rent, and there's a scene in there where one of the characters is filming a homeless person, and she comes back at him like, you don't know what it's like to be me. Like, I don't need your, you know, privileged pity, basically. And I think that is a point of John Lennon. I don't think that, like, I think if he was confronted with that by an actual person, like, I don't think he would necessarily be hostile for that, because I do think, like, I agree with you, there is this sense of earnest. So we come up to this man named James Hanratty. Do you know who this is?
I have never heard of this person. I was just reading his Wikipedia page to kind of get enough info on him to talk.
So he's a murderer
a rapist.
And a rapist, and he killed and raped a bunch of people. But his significance in British history is he is one of the final 8 people that are killed by capital punishment before the United Kingdom abolishes it.
So the death penalty.
Yes, the death penalty, which is an important thing. John Lennon kind of uses this as a moment, like, he rallies behind, like, the efforts to prove his innocence. Now, I'm going to give you a spoiler because he's guilty. In his appeals, they find it, and there is basically either a recording or, like, indisputable evidence that, yes, you did this.
Did he admit to it? Or they just have the evidence?
They had the evidence. And so, like, he is convicted and executed of these crimes because he did them. But it's interesting, and I think this is really where John kind of uses this in a point of, like, oh, you just want to you're using this as a point to bring attention to the things you care about. You don't actually care about the thing that you're stating you do, which I don't, that is what the public thinks. I'm not saying that, like, that's what really happened with John. But that's kind of where the public goes with this. And so he says those who had condemned Hanratty were the same people who are running guns to South Africa and killing blacks in the streets. The same bastards are in control. The same people are running everything. It's the whole bullshit bourgeoisie. I wanted to include that quote for a very specific reason for our discussion later.
Yeah. I understand where you're going with that.
Yes.
It's frustrating because this goes back to my earlier point, because I'm like, John, you're part of the bourgeoisie scene. Like, you're part of the them that you're talking about. You're them. Why do you think you're different?
Right. And, like, I get his point. He's basically saying, like, who are these people to condemn a man to death when they commit heinous crimes as well that are legal and sanctioned by the state. Like, that's the point that he's trying to make. And I get that.
But to be fair, I don't know how the British judicial system works. But if this was in America, he would be condemned by a jury of his peers, not the ubiquitous they, them of the government, of the people in power.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's the same, to be fair, but I mean, at some point it's just like you have to recognize that, like, you're part of them. You're part of the people in power. As much as you don't want to be, you're not this little kid who had a bad family life anymore.
No.
That little kid is still inside of you, of course. And I think that impacts a lot of his behavior.
And I think you can see that a little bit and we'll get to this, but like, when we talk about Paul McCartney, which we will, like, his activism is so much different than John's. Like, he uses his music a lot to do his activism. And I think John does this. John also puts his money where his mouth is. But Paul McCartney is like, every word he says is then followed by a check to some organization to be that. And I think that's telling of a person who has money, of where they put things, of like, okay, I say that I think this is wrong. Well, now I know, because I'm part of this system and I know money speaks, I'm going to put the money where my mouth is.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's when you are a billionaire, when you are a millionaire, somebody of this caliber, that's how it should be. I mean, that's how Dolly Parton is, and she's not a billionaire because she gives so much money away.
Right.
Like, for example, other people do this too, but.
Well, I think that's a good way to start before we kind of get into the end of his life. We're not really going to talk about his assassination, but
okay.
But yeah, other than that, we're going to talk about kind of like where he gets with the FBI. He gets in trouble with the FBI and that. But let's go to our mid-break first.
All right, let's do it.
As a sports fan, I have to confess, sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Alien Earth, the official podcast. Each week, host Adam Rogers is joined by guests, including the show's creator, cast, and crew, in this exclusive companion podcast. They will explore story elements, deep dive into character motivations, and offer an episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes breakdown of each terrifying chapter in this new series. Search FX's Alien Earth wherever you listen to podcasts.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Ma cos'è? Shoot! Shoot a flying demon!
Quite a carriage you got there. Where did you buy it, if you don't mind me asking?
Ask all you want, Freddy. You'll never get an answer.
Damn it all.
Was it my eyebrows? Yes. And your face, voice, and body.
What have you done? We used them. They were not ready for firing. You could have gotten us all killed. Let me see. His breath is more fatal than our cannons. Only when you two fools are shooting them. There, try it.
All right, welcome to the middle of the show. This is where we take time to talk about the lore cast and not the lore of Assassin's Creed. So the first thing that we do on all of our mid breaks is thank all of our amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for your financial support. We truly could not keep making the show without you. If you want to join the Patreon, you can do so and get some really amazing merch, you can do that at patreon.com/aclorecast. So definitely check it out. Get your name read out of the show, early episodes, ad-free episodes, and so much more. Now, if you can't support us financially, the next best way to support us is by leaving us a rating, a review, a comment of some kind, and we'll read it out on the show. So the one I have to read today comes from Spotify, and this one is by Tristan G., who commented on our Assassin's Creed Talent Show episode and said, "Great podcast, 5 stars. I love the patron chats. Thank you so much for listening. We greatly appreciate it, and thank you for taking the time to leave us that awesome comment." Now, the last thing I have 2 more things. Next, the last thing I have to shout out is our Discord server. Definitely come out and hang out with us if you want to talk about Shadows, anything Assassin's Creed newsworthy, or even any other games. If you're into games at all, definitely the Discord is the best place to be. The last thing I want to talk about is my playthrough of Shadows. So I am closing in on the end of the game. I've killed all the Shinbaku except for Mitsuhide and the leader. I have completed Yasuke's romance with Lady Oichi. I have taken out almost all of the little circles. I have met Louise Froy and have had and killed the what's his name? The Portuguese guy that enslaved Yasuke.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name?
I can't remember.
He's dead. I've started the Templar tree thing. So I feel like I'm closing in on the end game here.
Yeah, you're getting real close. You'll probably finish while I'm going out of town this week. You might finish while I'm gone.
Maybe. I've got a lot of things to do for the baby, so yeah. We'll see what happens. I will definitely finish by the end of June, though, for sure. No doubt about it. I actually think I'll probably finish by our next patron chat, so maybe we can have an in-depth conversation on that.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great.
Well, I think that's all I've got for the middle of the show, so we can get back into it.
Lowe's knows to bring your vision to life, it's important to find the right color. That's why MyLowe's Rewards members get a free Valspar paint or exterior stain sample to test your look to confidently refresh your space. Offer valid in-store only 8/7 to 8/20. Limit 1 per customer while supplies last. Discount taken in time of purchase. See associate for details. Rewards program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Malaka. But that madman, the self-proclaimed Bishop of the Ruins, is our biggest critic. He calls our playing the devil's bagpipes.
I will sleep with anyone as long as they agree to be executed in the morning.
Like Xantivis.
He was well satisfied with his bargain. Who is this toothsome fellow?
My queen, this is,
Well?
It is a generous offer, but I've already pledged my life to this woman.
Aya, you have chosen well.
All right. So, following the Bloody Sunday incident, which is a big event in Northern Ireland between the Northern Ireland forces and the British Army and the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. If you're not familiar with that, it's a struggle of Ireland's independence and really like almost a religious war between very, very Catholic Ireland and very, very Protestant Northern Ireland. And so there's a lot that happens, and Bloody Sunday is this event where a lot of people die on Sunday, and it's a big event. So following this event, Lennon said that given the choice between the British Army and the IRA, he would side with the latter, which again, like, puts him at a point, like, he is a British citizen. Like, this is seen by the British people as
a betrayal, basically. Yeah.
And I think that like what he's trying to say is like Ireland has the right to be their own thing. Like they don't have to be that. Like he's very, very, very anti-imperialist. And I think to be fair to Lennon, there is a lot of imperial ideology, especially at this point in Britain, in regards to the countries that make up the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
That England is really the main one of this, and the others just fall secondary to England in that.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about this late 60s, early 70s here, and I think a lot of times for us in 2025, we look back at that and think about like, oh, most people back then, like, that's modern history, and they are not that different from us. When it comes to the British crown, I don't think that's true. I don't think it's really until the 90s with Princess Diana's death that people start to rethink the role of the British monarchy.
I agree. I think those questions are beginning to happen because we really have to talk about this. Like, Elizabeth II has not really been Queen of England for that long at this point.
I mean, I think she's closing in on 2 decades at this point.
She comes in near the end of the Second World War, right?
Yeah, I can't remember what year her dad dies, but it's after World War II.
Yes.
But not very long after.
Because she is out in Africa doing like missional work.
Yeah, she's on a royal trip when her father dies because she makes her first speech as queen from like on the radio from that trip, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I agree. Like it's this time period is like people are not questioning the monarchy. It just is the way it is and has been the way it's always been. Like those questions don't start arising until they start going through some of these challenges, like the divorces, like Diana's death. All of these kinds
really,
of
like,
things.
if we want to talk about the most modern scandal is Elizabeth's uncle, King Edward, and his divorce and that abdication. Like, that's probably the biggest scandal.
Well, he doesn't get divorced.
Oh, I guess that's
He
true.
and Wallace Simpson stay.
Right. He marries an American divorced woman and advocates the throne, which puts Elizabeth in line.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that I mean, there are some other scandals, to be fair, but like that one is huge.
Yes. And then what follows after about his affiliation and things like that was another thing. So that's a big little tangent in there. But like, so this would be I know that seems like a big deal because like, it doesn't seem like a big deal because like, who cares what this random celebrity thinks about this? But like, it would have been a big deal for him to say that. I think this is hilarious, this little comment. The FBI considered Lennon to have little effectiveness as a revolutionary as he was constantly under the influence of narcotics. Which is true. Like, they were like...
I mean, fair. Like, if you are an addict, which they were, there is no way, especially if you are in the throes of addiction, like, you are not going to be able to like organize and lead a revolution to the level in which it's going to like take over and sweep a nation.
Right. And like, it's important to note, like, as he's doing this, like the Black Panther movement is on the rise. Like there are other movements that are making protests that are way more organized and doing way more work than he is on these things. And so following the impact of Give Peace a Chance and Happy Christmas, The War is Over, on anti-war movement, the Nixon administration heard rumors that John Lennon's involvement in a concert to be held in San Diego at the same time as the 1972 Republican National Convention and basically tried to have him deported. Nixon believes that Lennon's anti-war activities could cost him his reelection. And like,
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Yes. And so after this, eventually in 8 years after this, he continues to be an activist and do a bunch of other stuff and things like that. But in 1980, he is going to be assassinated. And he is assassinated by a man named Mark David Chapman, continuing the
three-name
assassinations. And who was an American Beatles fan who was envious and enraged by Lennon's lifestyle alongside his 1966 comment that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus, which was a big thing.
Deal. Yeah.
And like I want to be fair to John Lennon in this because I've listened to recordings and watched like him saying this. The point he is making is that he is, because this is early in their fame.
It's like during Beatlemania, which is when they first come to America.
And his comment is like they're talking about how they can't believe the fame that they're having. Yeah. And his comment is like almost satirical and a social commentary of like, we're more popular than Jesus. Like people are more obsessed with us than they are about the Bible or something like that, which I think is what really gets him in trouble. It's not saying that he actually thinks he's better or more popular than Jesus. It's that he's calling them out for valuing the Beatles more than that.
Well, I think what really gets him in trouble is that he's right. Yeah. Like he's right. People are more obsessed with the Beatles than they are with their faith. And, you know, I don't want to get into all that, but like, I do think that controversy is a little overblown because you're right. He's just like making a comment on their popularity. He's not saying that they should be more popular than God or that they are better than religion. He's just commenting on what is happening to them.
Yes. I think that comment combined with the give peace a chance and the war is over. And then he writes this song called Don't Believe. Have you heard this one?
No, I haven't heard that.
It's basically a list of the things that he doesn't believe in. And he lists like American politicians and all kinds of stuff about, and the tagline is, I believe in Yoko and me. Yeah. Which is, yeah. Okay. And so like that combined with Give Peace a Chance and Happy Christmas, the war is over. Like this combined with that is like he becomes kind of the symbol of this anti-establishment, almost anti-Christian movement that a lot of the rising conservative right by the 80s, because we're about to have Reagan's election and get all of that. I think that leads to this assassination. But the Beatles do not have any entry or mention in the AC Wiki.
None at all.
None at all.
Interesting.
So there's not really a theory or anything like that. I think also in general, Assassin's Creed tries to stay away from people who are alive.
Well, John's not alive.
I know John's not alive, and George. There are two out of the 4 Beatles are dead.
Yeah,
John and George are dead, and Paul and Ringo are alive.
Which makes sense for Ringo because he was the youngest.
Yes, and I think Paul did the least amount of drugs.
That does play a part, to be fair.
Yes. I mean, that's real. I mean, George dies of cancer,
and
John is obviously assassinated. But I do think that if John wasn't assassinated, his narcotic addiction would have taken him.
I agree with that.
But so with none, I do think that artists could potentially play a bigger role in the Assassin's Creed universe. And I think like as you get in, if we had more games in these quote unquote modern eras, like seeing the involvement that like the rise of basically like pop music and like the claim of fame of like musicians to celebrity status, like in a lot of ways, like our celebrities, our actors, our musicians are our version of like nobility. It's not, they don't function and they don't hold like power, but they do hold influence. And I think that seeing how that is used by the Templars and Assassins would be really interesting. I'm going to start with, I think that John Lennon is a Templar puppet. I think that he is designed to discredit assassin movements by being so ridiculous and so like laughable that he is meant to discredit assassin ideology in the American public. That is what I think.
I definitely see that argument. I think that there are a lot of things that he promoted or thought that fall into line with the assassin ideology, like, his focus on peace and the anti-establishment tendencies. Absolutely. But I also think these, as you mentioned earlier, that celebrities, and the cult of celebrity as it develops in the 20th century, I think that the Assassins and Templars both would be going after some of these celebrities to try to get them on their side and be like, hey, like, we have this movement. Can you promote it, basically? And I could see him being pursued by both sides.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, this quote about, like, the same bastards are in control, the same people are running everything. It's a whole bullshit bourgeoisie scene. Like, he's not, in the Assassin's Creed universe, he's not wrong. Abstergo is running everything. The Templars are in control. Yes, granted all that, like, he says that he's right, but he says that it's coming from such a source that is so easily discredited and flung by the FBI. Everyone's like, oh no, there's no way that can do. That only serves to benefit the Templars.
But don't you think that could also be a Hatham quote?
Yes,
like, it sounds so similar.
It could be.
Taking out the context of, like, I don't think Hatham's going to defend a rapist murderer of this criminal guy. But I do think part of the reason why I can't take him seriously in this is because, like, his views and his ideals are not coherent. And I think a lot of that is defined by the drug use. Like, the drug use and his obsession with Yoko are really, like, the two things at the forefront of his life. He wants to pretend, or wanted to pretend, that he was this great philosopher and this great thinker and even a great musician, which, like, he is a good musician. Like, the Beatles are one of the most famous bands of all time for a reason. But, like, the reality is he is such an addict in both to drugs and his wife that these other things, they take a back seat to that. And, it becomes incoherent, and it becomes... He just doesn't make a lot of sense a lot of times. Like, I think if he wasn't on drugs, if you really sat down and you were like, do you really think this rapist murderer guy has any connection to black people who are being murdered in the streets?
I will be fully honest with the podcast here and let them know that I'm biased. I hate the song Imagine. I think it is a perfectly, like, fine song.
No, you don't.
Like,
you hate the song,
like,
period.
Like, musically, it's good, and, like...
You hate the lyrics.
I do, and it's a point of, like, I think it takes away something that makes us all uniquely human, and it takes away something from the human experience. I don't want to get too much into that. If you want to talk to me about that, you can send me
Come and join the Discord.
Do the Discord. I'll gladly share more about that. But I do think that sometimes the Imagine lyrics can, if you read it through the lens, it can sound like Templar propaganda.
Yeah, imagine
all the people living life for peace. I
mean, the Assassins do focus on peace. They the thing about it is both organizations focus on peace. The Assassins say peace will be ultimately achieved through free will, protecting the innocent, etc. The Templars say peace will eventually be achieved if we control everything.
And you could read John Lennon's song in either way,
I think you can, but I also think if you look at his behavior and his actions and his statements outside of that one song, I think you lean more toward the Templar way of thinking.
And I think that there is this sense of, like, we should all just forget our differences and be controlled by this one desire for peace. I think that is something you could take away from Imagine. I want to preface this. I am not saying that is John's interpretation of Imagine. I think John's purpose of Imagine is to say, like, we need to stop focusing on our differences and we could live in peace if we focus on the fact that we're all human, and we can do that. I think that's the intention behind the song. I don't think his song accomplishes that, is my issue on that.
Yeah,
but again,
I
this
hear
is
you.
not an Imagine bashing podcast.
It's not, but I at the end of the day, I completely agree with you that I think he's a Templar puppet sent to make the assassins look bad.
Which I think is if it's true, if that's really what the Templars in the universe are doing, it is a genius move.
It is. It's very
brilliant.
smart. It's very smart. But, I'm sure there are other celebrities and people out there that we could say the opposite about, that they're an assassin puppet meant to make the Templars look bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just good marketing. Mm-hmm. Like, truly, that's what it comes down to. That's what it is.
Like, the best way to discredit, a good way to discredit an organization is to focus on the people that make it look ridiculous. I mean, I think that in our modern day, the media does that with the southeastern United States.
I think that we do that with a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at celebrities on the red carpet or the Met Gala, but I also think it comes down to when you have times of like deep economic differences like we had in the 70s, like we have now, like we've had throughout other times in history. The people in power, the celebrities, the people with money, their lives become so different from ours that it's hard to see ourselves in them anymore. And like the goal of a celebrity, in my opinion, should be that like they want us to see ourselves in them and consume whatever it is they're buying or selling,
Yes.
That's their goal. And when the differences become so vast, you can't do that anymore.
Right. So I'll leave us with this last kind of thing about just a last kind of thing. When John Lennon is doing all of this, the mistrust of the government is on a rise. Mm-hmm. Like when he's about to be assassinated, like the Iran-Contra situation has happened. Like when he's on the rise in the 70s and doing all this, like Nixon, Watergate has been exposed. Like the mistrust in the government is on the rise. So what better way to instill trust in the government than to have someone be ridiculous about mistrusting the establishment and government?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my last thought with that, but that's really, I'll turn it off for you to close and send us out.
Great comment. Good commentary. I'm sure there's people out there who disagree with our conclusions. And, if you have a different thought on John Lennon, I would be very curious to hear your thoughts. So make sure you leave us a comment or come join the Discord and let us know what you think. So thank you, Austin, as always, for doing the research on this one. It's always fun to do somebody who's more of an artist than a politician. So lets us have some more theological, philosophical conversations. So thank you again. And thank you for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. You can find us on Twitter at AC Lorecast.
If you have any lore questions or topics to unpack, join our Cups Podcasting and More Discord server. It's the best place on the internet. You can also support us financially through our Patreon. Find us on patreon.com/Assassin's Creed Lorecast. The Assassin's Creed Lorecast is part of the Robots Radio Network. For more information about the Robots Radio Network, join the Discord server via the link in our episode's description.
If you enjoyed the show or learned something new today, please subscribe, leave us a review, and join the Patreon. And if you enjoyed our intro and outro music, make sure you give a big thank you to Pipeman Studios. Thank you, Pipeman. Thanks again for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. And always remember, Assassins, stay in the shadows to serve the light.
Want to live better? We got a lot of work to do. Join Chris Hemsworth in National Geographic's new Disney Plus original series, Limitless. Live better now.
I'm diving headfirst into cutting-edge science to uncover 3 powerful secrets to living better right now. The growth that occurs through any challenging experience is really what we seek.
Chris Hemsworth stars in Limitless, Live Better Now. Now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
It's showtime.
When a wasteland detective and a vault girl cross paths, no criminal is safe.
You're both under arrest.
Don't move a muscle if you know what's good for you.
Based in Bethesda's Fallout series, follow Walter and Bunny as they traverse the Texas Commonwealth and New Vegas, busting big crime rings.
We'll need all we can to expand into Vegas territory.
And surviving anything the wasteland can throw at them.
It's him! It's the Mothman!
Featuring a series of nail-biting narratives and guest stars from across the Fallout community. It's anybody's guess what thrilling case is up next.
War never changes, does it, Bunny?
No, it certainly does not.
True Vault Escapades, a Fallout audio drama. Available anywhere you get podcasts.